The reasons we engage participants can help us choose which of the web conferencing tools we want to use. Some of the reasons you've indicated to engage participants could be categorized as feedback, inquiry, demonstration, and purposes that are similar to those. The choices you make about engagement are also going to depend on the anticipated size of your audience. What you can do with 25 or 30 sites is very different from what you can do when you have 100 or 200 sites. And we have actually over 100 with us today, so you can see that I'm keeping you pretty active and pretty engaged throughout the program, and we have more than 100 sites. So as an alternative, as an example of that, I lead a 3-part webinar for ASTD on coaching subject matter experts, and it's 3 sessions, each one a week apart. And I typically, purposefully, on ASTD's part, is that the people registered stay down in the 15 to 25 range. And the way that's different is we can have open phone lines for active discussion as if we were all together in the same room. I actually do a role play in the part 3 of that webinar series. And you can do more on-screen engagement when you have the smaller number of sites. So think about the size of your group and then what kinds of techniques you can use that are going to be effective for that size. So turn to pages 5 and 6 of your handout. These are some brief descriptions of each of the common tools. And in today's webinar, we're using every one of these tools as it's offered by Live Meeting, which is the platform that we're using. And the capabilities of the platform you use is going to drive how these and other tools work. So we're just going to kind of touch lightly on them. The tools allow you to practice adult learning principles and those brain rules by engaging participants in ways that are similar to the classroom. So the tools that are on those 2 pages on 5 and 6 are popping up here on the screen now, and as I mentioned, I'm just going to kind of touch on them a little bit just to get a sense of what we're talking about. Polling is, of course, an effective way to kind of take the audience's temperature, and while it's likely that a lot of people are going to be listening at a single site, be sure to phrase your questions so that they're based on the organization and not the individual, because if it's you or something like that as opposed to being organization-based, sometimes it's hard for people to know how to respond. Annotations are all the tools that are used to make marks on the screen. You can draw attention to a specific part of a slide when you're talking, and participants can indicate brief responses using those. And some people, as you've probably noticed, tend to have a little fun with the annotation tools, which can be a challenge. So sometimes what you might want to do is consider setting some ground rules at the beginning of the program that annotations or other tools that people can play with during the program would be used only for specific questions that are responded. And, of course, that doesn't always work. So you're always taking a risk, as you can see, with the people having fun with the annotations. Telephone lines, vocal participation can be encouraged in any size group, just in different ways. You can cue people on a phone line like KRM will do with *1 when we get to our Q&A. And in smaller groups, you can just open the lines for active discussion. And, again, set those ground rules at the beginning so people have a sense of how they can play well together. You can take participants anywhere your desktop can go using shared applications, sharing software, documents, websites, or anything that's relevant to your content. Sometimes live streaming video can add to the learning value of your webinars, or you can use it the way KRM did with the message from Rick. One of the things you want to keep in mind when you're doing, though, is why you want to use video. Is it just for the bells and whistles, or is it going to enhance the learning experience? If it could actually enhance the program for your audience, go for it. If you're not, you might want to rethink it. And hi, whoever wrote hi, Kathy, I saw that. And, of course, the whiteboard, which everybody's been having fun with, whether it's typing on a prepared slide like we were doing or going to a separate space, you can use the whiteboard to offer participants to offer 1 or 2 word ideas in response to questions or to engage people in games and other activities. And, yeah, you actually can use games in a whiteboard, and there's a whole book of them that is in your resource list called Webinars with Wow Factor. She's got lots of sample games that you can use there that are adaptable to pretty much any environment. Questions, of course, are a powerful tool in learning at any time, and participants can ask the speakers questions in a chat window or on Twitter or verbally using whatever audio tool you're using. And like with good learning, Speakers can actually use probing questions to encourage participants to reflect on what they're learning and figure out what they can do with it, as well as just sharing those quick ideas like I did when we did the whiteboard exercise up near the front. At the bottom of page 6 of your handout is another tool you can use, especially in helping your presenters, your speakers, prepare for their webinars. And this one puts you in the company of webinar pros. It's a simple technique, and there's a line there for you to write it down. Sometimes its value doesn't show up until one program, just one, doesn't succeed. What is it? Practice, practice, practice. Yep, you got to practice. Require your speakers to practice at least once, 2 or 3 times if they can. I had one client where I was helping speakers prepare for webinars, and despite many exhortations, the speaker didn't practice, felt he didn't have time, felt he didn't need to. He'd done the program face-to-face a number of times. And after the program, when he ran out of time and had to skip some content and was rushing his voice at the end, he apologized and said, yes, I should have practiced. So this is something that's key, and it's what the pros do.